Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Here's Diane.
Hi.
Buddy.
Guys,
Hi, Diane.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Welcome. We're just still letting people in now.
Yeah, I think Marianne's supposed to come too.
Oh, great.
All right, we've got a few people in now. All right. Well, welcome. And we are recording this, so if anyone jumps in late, we can catch everyone up and we'll send out the recording after it's over as well. So I know there are a bunch of people that couldn't make it today, but welcome to our information session today about our 2026 tours. We are just wrapping up. We have one more tour left for this year, our Christmas markets tour that starts at the end of this month. And then we're so excited to jump into 2026. And for those of you who don't know us or don't know all of us or don't know Kurata Travel that well, we wanted to give you just a little background information. Kurata Travel actually is part of a cheese business, for those who didn't know, Caputo Brothers Creamery. The owners, Dave and Rin Caputo, actually studied at culinary school in Calabria, Italy, and then spent a few months traveling through Italy using food as a map and sort of seeing where the wind took them throughout the country and really fell in love with the culinary traditions of Italy. And so from there started a tour company. And we actually launched Corata Travel as its own business in 2022. And my name's Kyle Carter. I actually was a traveler back in 2012 on the first ever tour and just didn't leave after that. Fell in love with the country, fell in love with travel, and fell in love with showing people this country that we love so much. For those of you who have not been on one of our tours before, we are a small group tour travel company. So we usually have 18 to 20 people on any given tour. And our focus is really the culinary traditions, like I said, showing people the food and wine specialties of any region, meeting the artisans that produce it, and really understanding this heritage that goes into some of these traditions in Italy and now some other countries that you'll hear about. As I mentioned, my name's Kyle. I run Corata Travel, and I want to pass it over to Chris to introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Aldhouse. I'm the experience curator here at Kurata Travel. I was born and raised right outside of Philadelphia, and in college, I decided to study abroad in Bologna, Italy, which is my background right here. And the reason for this is because I grew up in an Italian American household. So I was surrounded by slightly Italian food, some Italian language, Italian culture throughout my whole life. And I wanted to dive into that aspect of my identity a bit more. And so I studied abroad here for a year. And then I begged and begged and begged my college to let me stay a little bit longer. So eventually they did, probably just to make me stop begging. But I did 3 semesters here in Bologna, Italy. Moved back to America after graduation and started working with Curata Travel. And then in March, I picked up everything and moved back here more permanently. So now I'm back in Bologna, living here and just in love with it, in love with the culture and the food and everything. And it still doesn't feel real. It's been many, many months and I still can't believe it. Um, and yeah, at Curata Travel, I work behind the scenes to make sure that everything runs super smoothly on these tours, but I'm also a tour leader. So I get to partake in the fun and join you all on some tours. And it's really great. It's my absolute favorite thing. I love being able to show off the culture and the food that I fell in love with so much to other people and see their reactions to Italian culture. And yeah, that's me. So I'll pass it off to my colleague Brianna now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brianna Giesemann. I am from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. My story is very similar to Chris's. We both graduated from Dickinson College. I graduated with a degree in Italian Studies and International Business, and the Italian Studies degree was not really planned that way, but I pretty much got sucked into my love of the culture and my love of the food since that I've had since growing up. Chris mentioned growing up in an Italian American family. So I had that as well. And so I studied abroad in Italy, fell in love with it, had to figure out how to get back. And so now I get to travel back quite a bit, and I get to take you guys with me and just show you the best way to travel, which is through food and wine. And one of my favorite things about the job is not only do you get to travel, but you get to travel with really good people, and you're sort of building this community and family along the way that continues even after the trip itself. So it's something really special and something that if you haven't experienced yet, I hope that you get to soon, maybe 2026. I don't know.
I wanted to also take a second to introduce some of our other team members who aren't on the call today. We have two amazing team members who live in Florence, Martina and Romina. Both have an incredible culinary knowledge and background. And you'll find them on any given tour. And then we also have the owners of Caputo Brothers Creamery and Corata Travel, Rin and Dave Caputo, who every once in a while are able to break away from the cheese business and lead a tour as well. We also sometimes do some guest chef led tours. Through the cheese business, we have a lot of restaurant partners throughout the United States. For those of you who live in central Pennsylvania, you might know Luca in Lancaster and Pizzeria Luca. Chef Taylor just actually finished this week one of our tours he was leading with Romina through Umbria and southern Tuscany. So we offer those as well. So with today's webinar, we just wanted to give you sort of a brief overview of the different tours for 2026. So we want to touch a little bit on the destinations, the itineraries, but we also don't want to keep you here we could talk for obviously hours about Italy and all of our favorite destinations. But we just want to give you guys a great overview of the trips, and then we'll put our contact information in the chat. If anyone wants to reach out, we're happy to do a one-on-one Zoom call or a phone call just to answer any questions you might have. And if you have questions along the way, feel free to put those in the chat as well, and we'll get those answered for you.
All right. So, a lot of questions, or one of our most frequently asked questions is what exactly is included in a tour with us? And the simplest way that I can put it is once you show up at the airport, we take care of everything else until we drop you off at the airport at the end of the trip. So, into the more nitty-gritty of that, what's included, accommodations during your trip. So, typically, our trips are anywhere between 7 to 10 days. And then we try to spend at least 2 nights, typically 3 nights in a given location. So those accommodations vary. They can range from an agriturismo, which is a hotel slash farm, working farm. So it's a very cool experience. Boutique hotels, hotels and spas, masseria, which is a typical accommodation in the Puglia region, which is a like fortified farmhouse, and a lot of them look like castles. It's a really, really beautiful spot. All of your planned excursions, classes, and visits to producers, as well as tastings. So we're a food and wine tour company, so we try to include tastings, like going to a mozzarella or cheese producer, um, uh, wineries, cooking classes. So we do include those throughout the trip, and all of those are included. All of your included meals. So that's all of your breakfasts and most of your lunches and dinners. I would say on the average tour, you have 2 to 3 free meals, and most of our guests are thanking us for the free meals because of how much food is included during our other lunches or dinners. This just gives them a chance to um, maybe just have a little gelato for lunch or something. So self-regulate self-regulation is included. Um, Also at meals, we have local wines to accompany the local specialties. So there will always be wine at the table for you. Every tour has an experienced tour leader that guides you throughout your trip. They meet you at the airport, they drop you off at the airport, and they're with you every step of the way to answer any questions, to make sure you get to where you need on time, and also to give you a lot of background information. Usually, people are excited to experience cooking classes and tours, but what they don't realize is how much you actually take away from the tour itself and how much you learn. We have a private motor coach during the trip. It seats about 29 people, so there's usually a few extra seats on the bus as well. But we work with a bus company that provides buses for each of our trips, and they're very clean, very well taken care of. And so that's ours from the moment we pick you up at the airport to the moment we drop you off at the airport. And as I mentioned, all of your airport transfers on specified arrival days and time, arrival and departure days and times are included. So we let you know what day and what time you need to get to the airport by, and what time you need to leave by. And we pick you up and make our way to our first destination. So pretty much what's not included are your flights, which we help you through that process of booking flights. So we give you any information you might need about what day you should leave, what airport you need to fly into and out of. So we guide you through all of that as well.
And one of the questions we received before the webinar was about food allergies, if we can accommodate food allergies. So one of the benefits about us planning the meals and the menus is, other than making sure you're getting a sampling throughout your tour of all of the specialties of a region, is we put in those requests with the restaurants themselves. So as long as we know about any dietary restrictions, we can accommodate those as best we can. So again, just let us know in advance and we can set that up. So it's not a restriction. You can still come on the tours. If you are a super, super picky eater and there's like whole categories of food you don't eat, like you don't eat any seafood, then maybe going on like one of our island-based tours or a coastal tour might not be the best. We can still do alternate dishes, but it won't be exactly the same experience. So that's all I would say. It's if we know about in advance, we can work around it for sure. And now we're gonna jump into our tours.
Not quite
So
yet.
we do. All right, just kidding. Just kidding. Pop quiz already.
Quiz time. Just to add some fun into it, we have a little question, and we'll have a couple more throughout the webinar. But you don't need to answer out loud or write in the chat. You can just think in your head. We also don't want to give away answers in case someone knows the correct answer. So, first question is, how many tours has Coracha Travel completed since our very first trip in 2012?
Okay.
I know. I know.
There we go. Okay. You're all set.
Okay.
Right. And the answer is
70 plus.
70 plus.
On the TV.
We have had 70 plus tours. We just finished, Kyle mentioned we finished a tour with Chef Taylor just the other day. That makes our 78th tour. And so by the end of the year, we will have completed 79, which is crazy. Think about.
Yeah, we started running tours in 2012 in the fall, and we used to do maybe 2, 3 tours a year. This year with Christmas, we'll have 16 tours for 2025. So it's been awesome. We've gotten to see so many parts of Italy and now different countries as well. So we're excited for what comes next for next year. So now we're going to run into next year's tours. We do have a tour before this Classic Italy tour that's actually sold out. It's one of the chef-led tours with Chef Taylor from Lucca. It's our coast to coast tour. There is a wait list for that tour. You can find information on our website. We'll put that in the chat if you do want to join the wait list. But we do have other tours next year that go to the same, most of the same location. So we'll be sure and point those out as well.
Alrighty, so our first tour of next year with seats available is our Classic Italy tour. And this is a play on the traditional Rome, Florence, Venice itinerary that you see everywhere, but per Corazza fashion, it is off the beaten path. It's avoiding tourist traps. It's avoiding those massive crowds. So we go to cities that have very similar culinary culture, architecture, etc., to those three I just listed. So we start in Perugia, which is that bottom pin right there. It's the capital of the region of Umbria. And that's very similar to Rome. That's the replacement of Rome. They both have very ancient roots as cities. They both date back to the Etruscans and earlier. They both have a very high appreciation for the arts, and the architecture is very, very similar. Then we head up to our second city, which is Bologna, which is where I am calling in from. And it's that second pin right there. This is in replacement of Florence. So they are also very similar in how they are both superpowers in the world of food. Bologna is considered the food capital of Italy. Florence is also very, very, very highly praised for its culinary culture. They also were very powerful cities during the Renaissance. So a lot of their architecture and art and culture is very similar as well. And then we'll head up, and that's in the region of Emilia-Romagna. Then we head up to Chioggia in the region of Veneto, and it's known as Little Venice. So this is in replacement of Venice. And honestly, it is very, very, very similar. It is just a downsized version of Venice, minus the crowds and minus the lines. And it's located on the Venetian Laguna as well. There are canals, there are bridges, colorful buildings, fish markets, everything. So it's just the little sister of Venice. And it's running from May 15th to 24th next year. So this is the layout, like I just mentioned. Our first stop is Perugia, where we will be staying in a boutique hotel located in the city, where you'll have a very short walking time into the town to go to shops and restaurants and boutiques and all of that. And Perugia is also a very hilly town, which is another similarity to Rome. Rome was built on the hills, so was Perugia. So the panoramic views everywhere are just breathtaking. In Bologna, we'll be in another boutique hotel located directly on the main piazza, Piazza Maggiore. So again, you walk out of the front doors of the hotel and you are in the city. You are a couple steps away from tons of restaurants. And this hotel in Bologna is actually super, super unique. It started as a town hall, I believe, centuries ago, and just stayed in operation, and people constantly were in and out. There was a flow of people that eventually got converted into a place where people could sleep and people could stay. So in the rooms in the Bologna Hotel, you'll see the original structure and the original paneling from the building from hundreds of years ago. And then we'll end in Chioggia at a really grand hotel that is directly located on the water. It's at the end of a pier. So views from the windows are on the Venetian Lagoon. And it's also at a very centrally located location. So some of the highlights, some of the culinary excursions that we do in Perugia. Perugia and Umbria as a whole are known for truffles. Truffles are a delicacy of this area. So we will be going on a truffle hunt. That's that top left picture right there, with a very experienced guide and his helpers, which are dogs. And they will help us seek out truffles and harvest them. And then we have a meal that's, of course, it's a culinary tour based around truffles. When we're in Bologna, since it is the food capital of Italy, we'll be doing a food market tour, but also heading a little bit outside of the city to a Parmigiano Reggiano producer. Parmigiano Reggiano originated from this area, and we'll learn all about how it's made from milk to the final aged product, of course, with the tasting. And it's really cool because not only do we get to hear about how it's made, but they will walk us through every step and we get to see it. And then in Chioggia, one of the excursions that we do is kind of in the top right photo on the Venetian Lagoon. There are lots of little huts. You can see it in the background right there called, it's a calzone. A calzone is a fisherman's hut. So we will be actually taking a boat out to the calzone and eating lunch in the middle of the Venetian Lagoon. And it is a lunch full of freshly caught seafood. And we'll learn a little bit more about the fishermen in this area and yeah, get to eat a lot of their products. It's really, really, really unique.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite excursions that we do on any trip. It's so special.
Okay. Next stop, unconventional Tuscany. This takes place at the beginning of June, June 3rd through the 12th. And when people when you hear someone say, "Oh, I went to Tuscany, I went to Italy, I went to Tuscany this summer," typically when they say that, they've been to Florence. That's really what they mean. Tuscany is so, I mean, Florence is amazing. Florence is great. Our other tour leaders, Romina and Martina, they live there in Florence. But there's so much more to Tuscany, including the coast that not many people think about. So, this tour, Unconventional Tuscany, was created by our friend and colleague, Martina Bartolozzi. And this is basically, she has created a tour that is reminiscent of her childhood vacations throughout Tuscany. So, starting inland in the Maremma region of Tuscany, moving out to the coast here, and then working our way up a little bit more north to another beach town, but closer to the Bulgari wine region. So I'll go into some of those details here. So the first 3 nights are staying in the town of Sorano. So this is the Maremma region. And so this town is made basically like sits on top of tuff rock, which is like volcanic rock. And you stay in this old, old fortress. And so you're sitting on top of the town, and then you get to go into the town and explore all of the great little restaurants, including some really interesting, unique cantine, like wine caves. So going underneath all of these buildings and going into these caves, and it's where they still use it to store wine and stuff. It's really, really different. And there's this like sort of big ravine right on the edge of town. So it's really, really quite stunning. After those 3 nights, you head over to the coast, what is known as the Silver Coast. And the hotel that you stay at there, it's what did people say? It's there. It reminded them of what's the show?
White Lotus.
White Lotus. Thank you. White Lotus. It reminded them of White Lotus. So hotel literally right next to the sea. You have direct access to the sea. There's a pool there as well. So just think resort, lounging, coastal life, and it's really, really beautiful. And then heading north, we're staying in a small beach town, but like I said, really close to the winemaking area of Bulgari. So if you've seen the picture of the cypress trees lining the road, you get to see that road. You get to drive on that road. Well, you don't get to drive. The bus driver drives on that road, but you're in the bus. And it's really cool. You feel like you're in a movie for sure. So some tour highlights include, I mentioned the wine caves that are underneath the city of Serrano. So that looks something like that. You guys get to go to the thermal hot springs of Saturnia. I don't know if you've heard of these. If you haven't, look it up. It's this top picture here. So cool. So you get to spend a few hours there just rejuvenating, relaxing in these really warm sulfur hot springs that's close by to the town of Serrano. Another really cool experience is this experience here in the top right. So that is Paolo. He is an activist fisherman. And what he does is he takes our group out onto his boat and he teaches you his sustainable fishing practices, which are not very common, unfortunately. So, as an activist in fishing, he really tries to explain why it's so important that he uses and how everyone really should use his methods for fishing. And then the coolest part is once you gather the fish for the day, he invites us back to his home and his family cooks us a seafood meal right at his home, which is really quite delicious. And you've put the work in to catch the fish, so of course they're gonna taste really amazing. Um, all right, and then just one other thing I'll point out. This is the spa
That's what I was just gonna say.
spa at our last hotel. I don't know that I need to say anything else. So really
It's pretty stunning.
beautiful, really stunning.
So taking just a small break from Italy is Croatia. This is a tour that we first incorporated last year in 2024. It came out of just some amazing discovery that Brianna and I made. It's this small boat cruising style that's super common in Croatia. And it's the first country other than Italy that we ever ran a tour. There is a ton of overlap culturally. Venetian rule went all the way down this coastline at one time. There's a lot of food overlap, a lot of overlap in the products, but you get to see it from cruising in style from the sea. So we actually have two itineraries next year. The first one we came up with the tour with the cruise company after our tour last year. So they really wanted to show us once they got to know our touring style and our guests. They were like, we would really love to show you guys a little further north what we think is the most off the beaten path places that we can go with the boats. So it starts in a coastal town called Šibenik, and then we will make our way down towards the town of Split or Trogir, which is that sort of middle pin that you see there, stopping along the way, some land stops, some island stops. And then the second, we built it this way so you can add them both together. So they overlap by a day, but that's just the boarding and departing day. And so if you wanted to, you could do both weeks in a row. So the second one picks up in Trogir Split and then goes all the way down to
I think
Dubrovnik.
this is some new thing.
So we'll talk a little about both of those itineraries here. The first cruising Croatia itinerary. So it starts, like I said, in Šibenik, and these are the names of all of the stops. So there's a great mix of history, of nature, and then great cultural excursions and some really beautiful coastal towns. So at the beginning of the tour, when we start in Šibenik, we'll spend a night there in a hotel right there on the coast and sort of get everyone together, have a great welcome dinner before getting on the boat the next day. We'll go down the coast just a little bit to Stadin, where we'll go inland to the Krka National Park, which is where you see that second photo of the waterfalls. Which is Brianna, Martina, and I did this summer, and it's really stunning. You walk through this park, and the waterfalls are just amazing. And from there we go to the next stop, which is another national park, has an amazing salt lake. We'll also have stops in Hvar, Primošten. Those are great little medieval stone towns. We'll do some walking tours. And then we end in Trogir and Split, which both are a little more bustling, have great shopping, restaurants. You can see the Trogir's picture at the end there with the promenade. So really just fun towns that are pretty lively. And then from there, our next Croatia itinerary picks up in Trogir and Split. So we'll start off in those areas before going down the coast. Hvar, the town of Vis, or the island of Vis, and Korčula. I think Korčula was a favorite, definitely for me. That's one of my top places. Millet is a national park. That third picture there is there's a salt lake there with an island and monastery in the middle that you take a little boat out to visit. You can also rent bikes and go around the island, which is really stunning. And then when we get to the south, to Slano and Dubrovnik, Dubrovnik is the city most people know if you talk about Croatia, if you're a Game of Thrones fan. That's where that was filmed. Incredible walled city. You can walk the walls. There's a great cable car that goes up to the top. And so that's sort of the overarching itinerary for the second Croatia cruise. And so some of the highlights, which I could again we'll probably do a whole other webinar on it because I could talk for hours on this. The boat itself is a small boat, like I mentioned. There's only 19 rooms. Some of the rooms have balcony rooms, some are lower level. They're both different price points depending what you're looking for. Every day you sort of the boat leaves port early in the morning while you're still asleep. You get up and have breakfast, and we usually have a little swim stop in the morning. So This bottom right picture is one of our swim stops. The captain finds a secluded little bay. You jump off. There's paddle boards, pool noodles for flotation, scuba masks. You can swim over to the coast and walk around if you want. So just at your leisure, we'll have lunch on the boat as we continue to our next stop. And we're usually on the next island in the afternoon and into the evening. You're docked overnight, so we're not sailing at night. We're not docked. We're docked right there in the town. And then we have a mix of meals both on board and on the different islands. We go to some wineries, olive oil. I think my favorite excursion is this one in the top left in Slano, where we go to an oyster bay. If anyone's been watching this season of The Amazing Race, a couple of weeks ago they had a whole episode in Dubrovnik, and then the second episode was in Slano or Molly Stone. And some people did a salt challenge and some people did an oyster challenge. So this is where all of the oysters in the area come from, and we go out to this floating platform. We learn all about how they farm the oysters and have an incredible oyster and mussel lunch, which it doesn't get any fresher than these oysters. Pretty amazing. But I can't say enough about the boat itself, the experience. It's just such an amazing way to travel. I love it because you're just on the coast the whole time. You're not out in the open ocean. It's very, very calm. The staff is amazing, and it's just a really cool way to see a beautiful part of the world. So happy to answer any questions about Croatia and talk about it much more.
Okay, another quiz, pop quiz. This is to test how good you were listening. Again, you don't need to write it in the chat or say it out loud. I'll just give a couple of seconds to think about the answer. What region is known as the birthplace of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese? All right. And the answer is Emilia-Romagna, where Bologna is located.
I'm going to assume everyone got it right.
I think so too. Alrighty, moving on to our next tour, moving back over to Italy now. This is our Summer in the Dolomites tour. And similar to our unconventional Tuscany tour, it's based off of one of our colleagues' experiences growing up. So this is based off our colleague Romina's experiences in the summertime to escape the Florentine heat. She would kind of retreat up to the mountains. And of course, it's still warm up there because it is summer in a Mediterranean climate. However, it's much more easy to deal with, let's say, than the Italian heat inside a medieval city. So going up north is really, really nice. And she would do that as a child. She would, escape the city heat and spend some time there with her family. So we put together this tour, incorporating places that we've gone to on many, many, many tours in the past and some new places that she's brought forward to us that she has personal experience there and has really fond memories of. And so we'll be going to Trento and Bolzano, which are these two pins up here. Trento is the lower one, in the region of Trentino Alto Adige, which I will talk about a little bit more. I think in one more slide. All right, so we'll be starting in Trento, which is, like I said, the lower one. So it's more at the foothills of the Dolomites. And these two cities, Trento and Bolzano, are very similar in a lot of ways, but also very, very, very different. So Trento is in the southern part, in the Trentino part of the region, whereas Bolzano is in the Alto Adige part. Alto Adige meaning north of the Adige River. So there's some division there. And culturally, these places are very unique from the rest of Italy, let's say. So we'll be spending some time in Trento, which has a very alpine culture, but there's a lot of similarities with Italian culture. It still feels like part of Italy, let's say. We'll be staying in a modern alpine hotel that is kind of carved out of a mountainside almost. And it's right on the edge of town. So again, a very short walk right into town for everything. And there's also a spa in this hotel. So in your summer mountain retreat, you can also relax and have some spa treatments done. Then we head over to Bolzano, which is more north, and this city is very unique because it used to be part of Austria. And so the culture here, it's very bicultural in the cuisine, in the language, in the architecture, in the demographic, in everything. So this is it almost feels like you're in a small German or Austrian town when you're up here. And so we'll be staying in a very stylish hotel located on the main piazza, with an amazing breakfast that you cannot miss. We highly recommend going to breakfast every day when we're at this hotel. Um, and so that kind of sets the scene for you of what the culture will be like here on this tour. And then I'll talk you through some of the highlights of this trip. So, we'll be having a lot of time for outdoor excursions and retreats, as you can see in those pictures on the right. We'll be going to a kind of mountain park where there's that mountain coaster. Not everyone needs to go on that if they are not up for that, but there's opportunities to hike and take walks and explore the nature. I mean, look at the bottom right picture. Those mountains are absolutely crazy. The Dolomite mountain range is very, very beautiful and very sharp and jagged at the top, like you can see there. So there'll be some amazing views and amazing photos being taken. We'll also be doing a foraging experience. So, since these places are much higher in altitude than the rest of a lot of the parts of Italy, they have a big foraging culture since they're not able to grow and produce a super wide variety of crops. They rely on the things that are growing there naturally. So we'll be going on a foraging experience where we'll pick some herbs and then sample dishes made with those things that we've picked. And then we'll be exploring other culinary facets of this region, like apples are very highly produced. We'll be visiting an apple producer, a cidery, and also a honey producer, and sampling different types of honey made produced from different flowers and different plants and tasting the difference in between. And of course, it's Italy, so a cheese producer, with some Alpine cheeses that are actually smoked in a World War II bunker. So this tour is really, really awesome. We normally don't run that many tours in summer to Italy because it can get really, really, really hot. But this is the perfect location to have a tour at this time. It is, Italians either go to the mountains or the coast in the summer to get out of the really muggy city centers. So it's just a beautiful time of year. It's perfect to be outside and hike and take walks, and very, very unique compared to other Italian tours.
Okay. Next tour is Due Coste. Due Coste means two coasts, and this is a tour that we've been running for a number of years and probably one of our most popular summer tours. This is running September 1st through the 10th, so just at the end of summer there, and it starts along the Amalfi Coast, and then we head to the other coast, the second coast, over here to the region of Puglia, stopping in the region of Basilicata along the way. So where do we stay? The first town we stay in is Vico Equense. This is a town just before you hit Sorrento and just before you hit the actual Amalfi Coast. This gives us really great access to the Amalfi Coast without being in the very large tourist crowds of the Amalfi Coast. So Vico Equense is this town over here looking over the Tyrrhenian Sea and Mount Vesuvius. Really, really stunning location. And the hotel is it's just caught off of the picture here, but it looks out over all of this, and it has an infinity pool that again looks out over all of that, and it has its own private beach club as well. So we have 3 nights there in this cliffside beach town, and then we get to spend a day on the water in a private boat. And we spend some time in Positano, one of the most famous towns along the Amalfi Coast. And then we also get to sail around the famous island of Capri. So you get to see it from the boat, take some really stunning pictures, and everyone's favorite part is being able to sort of jump in the water during the boat trip and do some swimming in the really beautiful, clear water there. Then the next 3 nights are in Matera. This is known as the City of Caves. And Matera is one of those cities that you have to see it to believe it. You have to experience it to understand the magic that is Matera. Matera is old, guys. I mean, Rome, think about Rome, 3,000 years old. That's already pretty old. Matera is 5,000 years older. Try to wrap your head around that.
Continuously inhabited.
And continuously inhabited. So we will for sure be doing a guided tour while we're there to really understand the history and the story of this pretty just fascinating city. Then we spend 3 nights in Puglia, specifically in the town of uh, Ostuni. We're not in the town of Ostuni, we're close to it because we're staying at this Masteria, which is, I mentioned earlier, this sort of fortified farm. Doesn't look like a farm, but technically it is. Really stunning, and we get almost the whole place to ourselves. And we spend a lot of time there, dining there, cooking class there, and then we have access to towns like Polignano a Mare, which, if you've seen A Puzzle of Italy, is probably one of the puzzles you've seen, and Alberobello, which is the house with the little white huts that you've probably seen pictures of as well.
Yeah, if anyone watches CBS Sunday Morning, both Matera and Alberobello have been featured in the past, I don't know, 6 months or so. Really great profiles on both of those towns.
Some of the other highlights that I can mention, we visit a water buffalo farm. You get to see the water buffalo, meet them, pet them if you want. They're really cute. And then we get to go to their caseificio, where they make the cheese, and we get to see how it's made, and we get to taste the fresh buffalo mozzarella. And oh, guys, you're gonna you're gonna wish you hadn't tasted because now the rest of your mozzarella is not going to be the same. So that's a really cool stop. I mentioned Positano. You'll have some free time there. And we have a couple of cooking classes during the trip as well. So you're going to be learning how to make some of the um, local pasta shapes or local dishes along the way.
Yeah, even though all of our tours and sort of the sorry, um, our philosophy of tours is to take you off the beaten path. When we're on the Sorrento Peninsula, we will take you to Positano and show you Capri. When we're in Chioggia across from Venice, we will, of course, still take you to Venice. So we still mix in, we want to make sure you get to see as much as you can while we're there. But we do really focus on staying in these more out of the way places and show you what we feel is the more authentic side of Italy.
And one other thing I forgot to mention is that this tour is almost sold out. There's only 4 seats left, so if you are interested, definitely jump on that.
And now our other country for next year, other than Croatia and Italy, is Spain. So this tour came out of some friends of ours from Calabria have opened a culinary school on the coast in Spain in a small town called Altea. And in collaboration with them, we'll be spending a little time with their culinary school. And between some of the team members, myself, we've spent some time over the past couple of years since they've moved there exploring the area and really have a beautiful tour put together for coastal Spain. And this will be it does overlap with the Due Coste tour, so it's at the beginning of September as well. Still warm enough that the coast is going to be lovely, but not too into the blazing heat of summer. So we will spend the first part of the tour in Altea, which is this really cute coastal town. You almost feel like you're in Greece, whitewashed buildings, some blue roofs, some pan tile roofs. It's right on the coast, has an amazing lungomare promenade along the coast there, along the water. Great little restaurants, and that's where the culinary school is based. Before we move up the coast to Valencia, where we'll be staying right in the heart of town. Valencia is an amazing, really lively city, beautiful markets and architecture. We'll be spending some time in the city and doing some excursions in both towns. We'll be doing some excursions in the surrounding area. Some of those special excursions include Valencia. If you think of Valencia, you know Valencia oranges. Uh, we will go to a family-run orange farm, learn all about this fruit that we probably already think we know so much about, and do a really cool brunch around their oranges. It's a really, really great excursion, something we don't have anything like that in any of our Italy trips. We're in the land of paella. Valencia is known as the capital and the birthplace of paella. So obviously we will be eating it, but also be making it ourselves. And then we will spend time at the culinary school. So we'll spend a day there. We'll visit the market in town in Altea and learn about some of the traditions, the food traditions in this area as we kick off that tour. So we're really excited to offer this. Like I said, we've been trying to incorporate one new country each year. It's fun for us. It's fun for us to share that with you. We did Bordeaux, France earlier this year, which was just amazing. It's really cool for us to fill those tours with some of our frequent travelers who are excited for us to show them other places in Europe. So we're very excited to show you all Spain next September. It's another quiz. How far in advance do we recommend booking international flights for your Kurata tour? I know all of you have read our blog post on this front to back and know it by heart, but our recommendation is 4 to 6 months. So that's not to say that when you sign up for your tour and it's in a year, you can't start looking at flights. We actually recommend you pull up similar dates or similar locations so that you can get an idea of cost as you're thinking about your whole budget for the trip. We also recommend for things like Google Flights or any of your airlines, you can usually set up alerts that keep you up to date when there's fluctuation in prices, because obviously things change all the time. But what we have found is that for maybe closer to 6 months out is for booking the flight is when typically prices are great, but also if you're looking a year out, a lot of times the airlines don't have all of their itineraries out for that time period. So when you get to like the 6 month mark, you're going to see more flight itineraries, which might have better layover times, might have better arrival times, more options for you to choose from that might work better out of whatever airport you're looking to fly out of.
Or what has happened to some of our travelers is that they book it so far in advance, and then the airline ends up changing a departure time or arrival time, which can, if you're planning to get there by, if pickup time is at noon on Friday, September 7th, I don't know, and you're planning to get there by 10:30, and then the airline changes it, and now you're not getting there till 1, now you're missing the group pickup time. So it's just better to give them some time to figure things out on their end, maybe.
And I put the blog post into the chat for anyone that wants to look at it another time, but they're just sort of some of our tips between when to book, also some suggestions about different airports, things like that, things to look at when you're considering your flight bookings.
Okay, so we have La Cucina Puglia. This trip is similar to our Due Coste trip, but instead of being in 3 different places, um, you're in Puglia for the whole time. There are some optional add-ons before and after the trip, so I can point those out. There's the optional add-on of Matera at the beginning of the trip. So that's again 3 nights in the City of Caves. And then there's also the optional add-on to Lecce at the end of the trip, which is another town in Puglia, and it's also known as the Florence of the South for its Baroque architecture. But for the main part of the tour, if you don't want to do either of the add-ons at the beginning or end of the trip, is a week at Masseria Salamina. Again, another masseria, fortified farm, sure, but also castle. really, really stunning property, really, really kind owners who we have had a friendship with for years, so, which is why we continue to go back. So we have tours that will spend, just 3 nights here, but we have a lot of people who are like, oh my God, I could spend a whole week here. Ask and you shall receive. Let's go. So, Masseria Salamina, staying in this 17th century castle, and it is just surrounded by olive groves and their own vineyards. And so, this week just basically takes a deep dive into the culture of Puglia. There are a lot of different opportunities to really get your hands dirty, cooking classes, a professional olive oil tasting, again, going to a farm where there are cows and learning how they make mozzarella. Um, I can show some pictures here. So here's one of our previous travelers doing the cooking class at Salamina. They have this outdoor kitchen, really. So there's like a pool on one side, the castle on the other, and then this really beautiful outdoor kitchen. This is the inner courtyard of the Masseria where breakfast is held, as well as sometimes dinner. There are a couple different locations. Um, uh, Wine tastings at some of our favorite wineries in Puglia, of course, and then we're still visiting some of the other really stunning towns like Polignano a Mare. There's the picture of it.
Yeah, this is a great chance. We have a mix of people that come on these tours. Some of them have traveled to some of the bigger areas in Italy or have seen multiple parts of Italy and are really interested in not unpacking and repacking every couple nights. It's great to stay in one place and unpack and settle, but really getting to know a region. So Puglia is it's gaining in popularity. It's certainly on becoming a little more on people's radar, but in my opinion, it's still one of the least discovered areas, the heel of the boot of Italy, and we love showing it to people. It's really beautiful. It's where the most olive oil is produced from the whole country. There's olive trees there that you would not believe. The trunks are several feet wide because they're thousands of years old. It's really a beautiful area.
Alrighty. So another tour we are offering next year is our Tuscan Immersion Tour. And so it says multiple dates available. That's because this is a smaller tour. It's for a group of 6 people, and it is more custom to you, let's say. So we would organize a date together. That's why we don't have any specific dates listed. It's whenever your group is able to and whenever there's availability. So we coordinate for that. And we go to where that pin is. It's right outside of Greve in Chianti. So if any of you are familiar with Chianti wine, we'll be staying right in the heart of the wine region. Um, and if you go to the next slide, we'll be staying at a B&B that was recently reconstructed and recently redeveloped. So it's a farmhouse B&B surrounded by olive groves and vineyards. And similarly to the last tour, we have a very strong connection to the owners here. So Kyle, I don't know if you want to jump in and kind of share the anecdote for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so Laura and Filippo, who own Anche del Chianti, have been friends of ours since the very beginning. Rin and Dave actually got engaged here when they on their first trip to Italy together. So this is a very special place for us. It's where we ran our first tour in 2012. They only have a few rooms. They only have 8 rooms total, and it is up in the hills. So between the fact that we have about 18 to 20 people on our tours now and use a bus, it hasn't been something we've been able to incorporate. So this is a way that we have been able to still bring people to this very special place. And it's also a different kind of tour. So we do have people that maybe aren't interested in a bigger group tour and just want to do something themselves. So it's your group of 6, one of our tour leaders, and a van and driver. And so it is, and you get to spend a lot of time with Laura and Filippo, who you will absolutely fall in love with. So this picture here is the main house, but what you can't see is over to left here, there's a whole line of other rooms that overlook the valley, and it's really, if you think of Tuscany, this is what you will think of: the stone house, the cypress trees, the rolling hills. It's really beautiful.
And this tour is, you know, it's slightly different in the sense that it gives the experience of living like a local. So we're staying in one place for 7 days. So you really get well acquainted with this area of Italy. And we'll take little day trips to nearby cities, nearby towns. Um, but since we're staying in one home base for the whole time, you really get well acquainted with this area. So in the bottom right picture, that is Florence. You'll have the opportunity to visit a nearby town, either San Gimignano or Florence or something that's quite close and has a culinary and cultural impact on where we'll be staying. But we're going to be in the more secluded, quiet countryside. But you'll also have a chance to explore a city of your choosing. We'll go to an olive oil producer, lots of wineries. We're in the Chianti wine region. We cannot not bring you to numerous wineries. And then you'll have a pasta making class where you will learn from some of the most incredible ladies ever how to make traditional Tuscan pasta. So you'll make numerous different types, and then that is our dinner. So you got to do a good job. But that's what we'll be eating is pastas in numerous different forms and shapes with different sauces. And it's a really cool hands-on experience that kind of sums up the experience. You learn about the culinary culture, you eat all this food, but then you finally get to get your hands dirty and make it for yourself.
And
Um,
there's a lot of chance for customization with this as well. So we work with you and with Uncle Chianti to pick the dates. But then also there's some windows. We've got our itinerary, but there's also some blocks, like Chris said, with getting to pick which nearby town you go to. You can also choose from different activities on site. So you could do a watercolor class as a group, or a yoga class, or do like a guided walk or hike in the area. So there is some cool options based on your group's interests. The watercolor class has been super popular lately. So yeah, it's a cool, something different, and just like the La Cucina Puglia, a chance to really spend a good amount of time in one region and get to know it. And everybody loves Tuscany. So we've got one more question, one more quiz, and this is a surprise. What tour are we adding that we haven't talked about yet? Lakes region, Central Italy, Christmas markets, or discovering York, Pennsylvania? The answer is Christmas markets.
Yay.
This is a team favorite. Like we said, it's our last tour that we've got left to run this year. I just put it up on the website this morning. So this is a super festive. I mean, I think the word we all think of is like cozy. Um, each town will be going to northern Italy to the towns of Trento and Bolzano. And from there, we'll visit some other really cool little small towns with smaller markets, but unique. Um, the towns really transform. And it's really cool because, especially Bolzano, which is right up next to the Austrian border, has so much German influence that you get that sort of just European feel. So you're in Italy, but you get a little German, Austrian feel to it. We do some really unique excursions. It's just a really festive time of year to be there. The food in the markets is amazing. The raclette, which if you guys have seen this, it's like the wheel of cheese that's under the heat lamp, so it melts and you can have it put over vegetables and potatoes or a pretzel. I mean, it's fantastic. The food is amazing. We'll do a really cool cooking class. And this is something that every year everyone's like, oh, I don't know. It's kind of close to the holidays. We fit it in right after Thanksgiving, but the very beginning of December. So it'll be December 1st through 8th. We can put the link in the chat. December 1st through 8th. So it's shorter, it's just a week. We've been talking about maybe doing a little add-on if people want to visit maybe Bologna's Christmas markets. So that's TBD. But we've got the the Christmas markets up for next year, and we're super excited to add this back in for 2026.
And it's just the best way to get into the Christmas spirit. I mean, there are little, like, you know how you can go to like a drive-through Christmas lights thing here in Pennsylvania or wherever you are. But like this is that, but every day. Because there's lights set up, and so it's just a magical wonderland for all 7 days of the tour. It's really, really special. Very fun.
And
Yeah,
Italians and
even
their Christmas markets. Italians and their Christmas markets is there's a very strong connection there. I mean, almost every big city in Italy and many, many small ones too have their own version of a Christmas market. And it's not necessarily a tourist destination or a tourist trap or anything because the locals, that's how they spend their evenings during this season. After work, they'll just walk over to the Christmas markets, grab a bite to eat, do a little shopping, whatever it may be. It's a very popular destination for even for locals that live there. So it's really amazing.
yeah, even the outdoor cafes are still open. They've got their heat lamps, and every chair has like a cozy blanket and everything. I'll just keep saying cozy so that you feel festive and cozy. And I can't say enough about these towns and the Christmas markets. It's like I said, team favorite. And then any questions? I think we managed to incorporate questions that were sent beforehand. Oh, someone did ask about if we were going to have any more tours next year with Chef Taylor from Luca. We have the spring tour with him that, like I said, is sold out. I did put a link to that in the chat. We typically have two with him per year. His business related schedule for the rest of next year was a little too hectic to be able to incorporate that. So but keep an eye out we'll definitely be jumping back into it for 2027 with him. But, and then any other questions, you can put them in the chat or unmute yourselves if you'd like. And like I said, if there's anything here that interests you, our email addresses are in the chat. We would love to set up a phone call or talk to you more about any of the trips.
Yeah. Hi, thank you for that. Just one quick question. Have you done or have you thought about maybe working with a local I don't know, spa exercise place where there's like a morning yoga session every morning that people can go to and get the day since they're eating so much food to get some exercise in right up front, something like that.
That's interesting. We do have a couple places, like I mentioned, the Tuscan immersion. We've had actually different travelers who have traveled with us who have offered that kind of thing. So it's something we could definitely think about incorporating. We do have a lot of people that like to do, especially during any free time, definitely get some steps in for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have built in free time during each tour. So on the average morning, your day with us doesn't start until around 10. There are some exceptions, a boat day, we're maybe on the road by 8, 8:30. But for the most part, you get the mornings free. So there are people who will go out, and we're usually staying in towns where it is easy to get your steps in. Yoga studio is a little bit harder to find in some of the towns that we're visiting, but I understand your point of just wanting to get some movement in. So definitely walkable towns, some um, maybe not so much as walkable as steppable. Matera,
Likeable.
hikeable. Yeah, Matera being one of them. It's definitely a town with lots of steps and stairs. And then typically you have the afternoons to yourself as well. So after lunch or after our activity during the day, you have between around 3, 4 o'clock until dinner time, which usually starts around 8. So again, that's free time to spend however you'd like.
Julie, did you have a question? I saw you pop up.
No, not really. But
Okay.
hi.
It's good to see your face.
Hi, Julie.
And one more thing that we wanted to add is just as a thank you for joining us today, we are giving you a little sneak preview to our Black Friday sale, which will release to the public right before Black Friday. But we're going to give you guys the code ahead of time, and that is, we'll put it in the chat, but the code will be in the chat here, BF 2025, and that will give you $250 off per person for any of our tours next year. So some of the restrictions, it doesn't, it has to be for new registrations. It can't be for something that you're already registered for. It can't be combined with any other discounts other than if you're a previous traveler, you become part of Club Corata, which means that you get credits towards your future trips. So you can combine it. Like if you went on a trip this year, you already have $100 in your account. So you can apply that with the 250. And we'll get the it'll go through the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, which is Travel Tuesday. All those days have names now. Cyber Monday, Travel Tuesday, fill in the blank. But apparently Tuesday is Travel Tuesday. So that's just our little gift from us to you. We hope you feel inspired for 2026 and already have the wheels turning. But feel free, please let us know if you have any questions, and we hope to see you in
I have
Italy or Croatia or Spain. Is there
real
another
quick question.
question?
The
Yeah.
Black Friday is BF 2025 or 2026?
BF 2025, since we are in 2025.
2025. Okay, just wanted to double check.
And then if you are a previous traveler and would like to apply your previous traveler credit, just give us a heads up and we can set that up for you specially so that you're able to get your full discount. And that discount does come off your final payment. Any other questions? Brianna or Chris, anything else to add?
I don't think so. Only hope to see you on one of the trips in 2026.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll send, again, we'll send the recording out to everyone if there's anything, people had to get off early or anything like that. But thank you guys for joining us and see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you.